What's up, Broncos fans? Got a two-pack of news and rumors to send you off to the weekend. But before we do, can we get to 3.5K subs? I actually started this channel back in January. It's been awesome to see the growth so far in just 6 short months. But we've also got these new channels underneath us now that are starting to catch up in terms of the subs. And if they get more subscribers, their fans are going to get more videos. You guys might get less. I want to keep making videos for you guys. I know Mitch and Tom love talking Broncos too all the time. So why not hit that big red button, subscribe for more Broncos videos. Let's dive into the latest Denver Broncos rumors. And today I want to talk about ESPN's survey that they've kind of released throughout the week. They've released each position every day. They've been surveying over 50 execs, coaches, scouts, and players to rank the top 10 players at each position in the NFL. Now, the offensive ones haven't been released yet. We'll probably talk about them next week, although can't imagine too many Broncos players on the offensive side making the top 10, but they did have several defensive players on their rankings, as the week went on. So we'll break down a few of them right now that the Broncos made appearances on, starting with the edge rushers list. The top 5 can't argue much. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Chandler Jones rounding out the top 5. You see Von Miller there at number 6. Pretty intriguing stuff ahead of guys like Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Cameron Jordan, who's been a phenomenal and a consistent presence in the NFL, and Danielle Hunter. I think you could potentially make the argument that maybe Von Miller needs to get a couple notches down on that list. I really love Chase Young, but I don't think the 10 sack seasons are done for Von Miller. Based on what we saw in 2019, of course. 2020 coming off the injury, be interested to see how he looks, especially opposite Bradley Chubb, who hopefully has an extension around the corner. But in 2019, he proved that he can still play in the NFL. I mean, 8 sacks. He was hampered slightly with some injuries in 2019 as well. Still put up 11 tackles for loss. This is a guy that I think can still age well, like a fine wine, I guess you would say. Reminds me kind of like Justin Houston, not the same frame and stuff, obviously, but the mold of their careers. Von Miller had a higher peak, there's no doubt about it, but can still probably play in the NFL and get you at least 5, 6, 7 sacks late into his early, mid-30s, around that range. Let's go ahead and jump into the cornerbacks list now. And here's where I might have a little bit of a problem. Jalen Ramsey at number 1, Humphrey of the Ravens at number 2, Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, and Tre'Davious White. That's a pretty solid top 5. I might throw in Jair Alexander myself over Stephon Gilmore. He comes in instead at number 6. Marshawn Lattimore at number 7, Denzel Ward at number 8, and then Darius Slay and J.C. Jackson rounding out the top 10 with honorable mention, Kyle Fuller. Now, this is one where I might have a slight disagreement with. I probably would put Kyle Fuller over Darius Slay, who, had a few good seasons in Detroit. Wasn't great last season. J.C. Jackson, still a young corner, an emerging corner, but Fuller is a proven presence in this league. And you've probably seen this graphic coming up a couple times because look at the last 4 years. He's been good. People act as though he wasn't first-team All-Pro literally 3 years ago in 2018 with 21 pass breakups, 7 INTs. He was a Pro Bowler in 2017 too with 22 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. He has been a proven force in the NFL, and I disagree with the fact that he wasn't listed as a top 10 cornerback. But I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. What do you think about your new prize CB1? Is he a top 10 corner? It's a simple Y for yes and for no in the comments section, but I want to know what you think about this one. Hopefully we get a little bit of love for the Broncos' key free agent signing, Kyle Fuller. And then finally, we'll wrap things up here with the safety survey. I'm just going to show you the top 5 here because Justin Simmons right there at number 2, behind only Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I think that's a debate probably a lot of people are having. Is Justin Simmons or Minkah Fitzpatrick the best safety in the NFL? Budda Baker, Jamal Adams, Harrison Smith round out top 5. But I think you can make an argument for either one. Minkah Fitzpatrick is awesome. There's no doubt about it. The impact that he's made on the Steelers defense since being traded from the Miami Dolphins, smooth move there by Miami. He's been a great safety. You could make a case for Justin Simmons, too. He's been just as good, 90-plus tackles in back-to-back seasons. I would personally argue, although Minkah Fitzpatrick is probably better in coverage, that Justin Simmons might be a better all-around safety with his ability to make plays in the backfield as well and cover and be that free safety roamer sideline-to-sideline safety. But again, I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comments sections to make your voices heard. Who's the better safety? I'm giving you one of the rare opportunities on the show here to type MF for Minkah Fitzpatrick, but I'm hoping I see 0 MFs. I hope I see a load of JSs in the comments for Justin Simmons. in my mind, I'm going to back him up. He's the best safety in football. Now, speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're one of those new channels that I was talking about at the start of the show that are starting to catch up with us in subs. We're at 3,317. The Steelers only at 2,357, and they were created just a few months ago, really. They're still a very new channel compared to us. You remember last week during our mailbag, I talked about Demaryius Thomas. We showed that picture of him stiff-arming Ike Taylor into another dimension. Can we go ahead and do that to Steelers talk, please? Let's get them out of the way so we can make more Denver Broncos videos. Let's boost that sub count up. You can either go to youtube.com/Broncos TV right under me or right under the video here on YouTube. Hit that big red button and subscribe for more Broncos coverage. Bleacher Report put out a list this week of NFL players that need a change in scenery, and there are two names on the list that actually relate to the Denver Broncos, and they're both takes I disagree with. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in here on the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports, starting with Gardner Minshew, the third-year quarterback from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had a few solid seasons with the Jaguars. He was a late-round draft pick, has certainly exceeded expectations, and Bleacher Report suggested that he should wind up in Denver and compete for the starting job. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all in for Minshew Mania. The stash, I hope the mullet comes back very, very soon. He's a fun player to watch. He's a fun player to follow. Just seems like an overall good guy from everything I've heard, everything we've seen. I'd love some Minshew Mania. Just somewhere else, just not in Denver. You know, I'm not sure that he's the right fit right now when you've already got two quarterbacks fighting for that starting job. He's not going to be the starter, obviously. Trevor Lawrence is, we know that, but he wants to be a starting quarterback in the league again. I'm not sure Denver is the place to do it. And I've heard you guys too, ask me mailbag questions, say in the comments, should they trade for Gardner Minshew? No, I mean, look, yes, his week one impressive against the Colts, 19 of 20, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns, led the Jags to a win over one of the top defenses in the NFL, mind you, last season. But then you look at the rest of 2020, 8 games that he played in, was benched at one point midway through the season. They're solid numbers, but they don't jump out the page at you. This isn't a quarterback that I would trust with a full 16, 17 game slate. And you always hear the saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. What the hell do you call it when you have 3 quarterbacks? Because that's what the Broncos would have. None of those 3 quarterbacks, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, or Gardner Minshew, would be the clear-cut starter until you really get to the preseason and start to make those decisions. It's just not a wise move. I don't see why Bleacher Report threw this out. I know some of you guys have been claiming to get the Minshew Mania to Denver, but it's just not the right fit for either side. He wants to be a starter. Denver can't exactly guarantee that. So I disagree with part 1 of Bleacher Report. Part 2 is the one that really gets me because they suggested Noah Fant could use a change in scenery. And this is just rich. I mean, he's been the clear-cut number 1 tight end since the Broncos drafted him in the first round in 2019. He's put together 2 strong seasons so far in his time with the Broncos. And for Bleacher Report to throw this out here, to me, is just utterly ridiculous. He's still got 2 years left on his contract. Probably could get that 5th-year option accepted. We'll have to wait and see what the Broncos, how they navigate that process. But, man, I'm going to show you this quote from Bleacher Report, and then I'm going to sound off for a little bit here. Here's what they had to say on Noah Fant. A dynamic playmaker, Fant isn't in a dynamic offense and has to compete for attention with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, I agree so far, KJ Hamler, and even fellow tight end and 2020 4th-rounder Albert Okwuegbunam. Like Ingram, Evan Ingram mentioned it earlier in the article, Fant would be quite a bit more interesting in a dynamic offense using him to his strengths, such as the one with the Los Angeles Rams. Really? Yes, could use a more dynamic offense, but it's not as though he's having to compete for attention. I mean, look at his first 2 seasons. 90, almost 100 targets last season with shoddy quarterback play. He was arguably the top receiving option, other than maybe Jerry Jeudy, but he made a decent amount of plays for this team. He's had 2 good years, over 1,000 yards. Look at guys like Mike Gesicki, who was not the leading receiver. He was probably the number 3 guy in that offense behind the guy like Devontae Parker. He'll probably be behind Jalen Waddle this season. Will Fuller, he's still put up over 700 yards and some change. The argument just doesn't make sense to me. And Albert Okwuegbunam certainly showed some flashes in his rookie season, but he's coming off a torn ACL. He came off a season-ending injury when the Broncos drafted him coming out of Missouri. He hasn't been a reliable player in 3 years. So you keep Noah Fant. He's your number 1 tight end. Eric Saubert's not going to be your guy. Austin Ford and Sean Byer are practice camp bodies at the most. This is your number 1 tight end. The fact that he needs a change in scenery is obscene to me. You should be able to build an offense for starters around your playmakers. I didn't get this article, and he made some good points. Evan Ingram could use a change in scenery. Jason Garrett, their offensive coordinator, could barely make a diamond shine, much less a player like Ingram. And Keel Harry was the guy he mentioned who requested a trade earlier this week. But as it relates to the Broncos, and cover your ears, children, this article's stupid as shit. It doesn't make any sense to me when it relates to the Broncos, and these are 2 moves that I'm openly against. I am triggered. I am triggered, hence the title on our last question for you guys for today's video. Which one triggered you more? Was it the Minshew to Denver move? I want you to type 1. Or is it that you think Noah Fant needs a change in scenery and the Broncos should actually consider trading him? Or if he tried to force a trade, that's obscene. That's ridiculous. I'm typing my 2 for get Fant out of Denver. Just nuts. Get your votes in the comments. And one last time, be sure to subscribe to the Broncos Breakdown. We're hoping to bring you the best Broncos coverage on YouTube, but more subscribers equals more videos for you guys, and we want to be able to do more videos for you. Don't let the Steelers Talk channel catch up to us. Let's stiff arm them out of here. Get more Broncos videos headed your way. More news, rumors, all off season into the 2021 season. You won't want to miss it, so be sure and subscribe.